it always is that they find a way to lose in the most painful, excruciating way possible for themselves and for their fans.
I mean, listen, I understand it was a rough loss, Maple Leaf fans, but I want to talk about this TSN panel. They had some okay points, but there's some things that were said here that I just think, well, would be interesting to talk about.
A key player in this goal is watch the goaltender. In that league, if you want to sit on the goal line with an elite player coming in.
Everybody wants to say that he should have been more aggressive, should have went for a poke check there. That was a good, smart, hard dump at an angle. Because let's say he goes out there and tries to play it. If he misses the poke or it pokes wrong off his stick and goes right to an empty net, you would have been criticizing him regardless. When I'm looking at this play, let's just gonna freeze frame it here, right? When I'm looking at this play, I see a forechecker on Lindholm, see Pasta obviously getting up to speed, and the defenders get caught watching the puck. So it allows Pasternak, and this is a great bounce, don't get me wrong, to come in alone. You had a Maple Leaf player lose their assignment, and Pasta made him pay. I understand Samsonov did not have some great games in this postseason, but in Game 7, he played well. The shot on Lindholm through a sea of bodies, yeah, it goes over the shoulder and in, ties 1-1. I don't think that's an atrocious goal. And then that goal in overtime, are we really going to critique him? You can critique him for some of the poor play earlier in the series, but I think we're getting a little silly here.
And the Boston Bruins, a lot of average players on that lineup. You ask me, that's 3 third-line centers that they have.
Well, good thing nobody was asking you, because you're clearly not that bright. Now, I'm not that mean usually, but that was such a stupid point. Because when you look at the NHL scoring for centers in the league, you want to know just the facts, and there's 32 NHL teams, so keep that in mind. Charlie Coyle was 46th for centers in scoring, 60 points. Pavel Zacha was 50 with 59 points. Coyle, who going into the season, I was not confident about him being a second-line center. And the same thing with Zacha. They both played at second-line production. Am I saying it's the perfect situation in Boston? No, but Charlie Coyle and Zacha in the regular season were second-line centers. Now, they had some struggles during this playoff series, winning draws. But overall, it is a fallacy to say they're all third-line centers. The Bruins don't have a first-line center. I'd agree with that. But to say players who scored 60 and 59 points respectively is not second line is just incorrect.
Talked about the space out there. There's none of it, and you got to find a way to fight through and do it. And again, they're offensively challenged, and they don't score enough. I never thought that would be the problem. Ever.
You know, I agree with him here. I did not think scoring would be an issue for the Maple Leafs with all their weapons. Now, Matthews was battling what he was battling, but let's just say it. William Nylander was fantastic. He was their best player in this series. But outside of him, it just didn't get enough. Marner, invisible. Tavares, he had his moments, but, he's getting older. He's not what he used to be in his prime. Auston Matthews, due to that bug, didn't play great. The Leafs have so much money spent up front. They should not be struggling to score. They lost this series not because of their defense and goaltending, but because of their mediocre scoring when it mattered most.
Of course, there'll be some consideration to change when you look at Brendan Shanahan, the office that he's occupied. I doubt that happens. I think that you're looking more inside hockey operations because, look, the business model of the Toronto Maple Leafs is very, very successful.
You got to look at Shanahan. There is nobody that should be safe in that front office, especially Shanahan. Your fall guy, Dubas, is gone. You got Tree living in there, so first year on the job. I can't blame him for any of those contracts. A lot of this stuff happened under Shanahan's watch. A lot of these big, massive contracts didn't step in, didn't do anything to maybe deter his general manager from inking these guys to such long-term contracts. And now you're in a situation where, yes, in the regular season, you can score a lot of goals. You can put up points with the best of them. But you're missing that major piece on the back end. And listen, it's not like the Leafs are a terrible team. I know Leafs fans are going to be mad and upset with the first round exit, but they're a good team. They were close. They almost beat the Boston Bruins. I do think if they move one of the core four maybe even 2, and acquire some defensive help, they'd be far better off.
I do expect either Marner or Tavares to at least be approached. They have no move clauses, they have protection, but I do think that he's going to try and do something with that core.
So I agree with this guy completely. Yeah, you need to consider trying to move one of those guys. Now, is Tavares going to do it? Probably not. Marner? Probably not. But you're going to have to find a way to make some type of change, because if you keep going back with this same roster, maybe they get past the first round again. But if this team's just going to be a first round, second round playoff team, it's not good enough, especially with all the money you're paying these players. Now, Tavares' contract will eventually get off the books. I'm not sure how much they can do. Unless the player agrees and you have 2 teams agree to retain cap, nobody's paying that much for John Tavares. Now, I do think he's underappreciated at this point in that market, but for what he is, he's vastly overpaid. But I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments section. What do you believe the Toronto Maple Leafs should do? Should they stay pat? Should they make some major changes? Should they shake up everything? Should they fire Brendan Shanahan into the sun? Let me know your thoughts. I'm Captain Paul. I'll see you in the next one.